let's now go deeper into the NoSQL database. By the way, NoSQL actually refers to N stands for not and O is only. So it is not only SQL database, it is called. And as we are going to look at the Google NoSQL database, that is the Firebase one, it is related to the document type of NoSQL database. Again, just for a pictorial representation, we have seen about the relational database, which is shown in the left side. On the right side, you have different NoSQL database, which is key value, column family, graphs, and documents. Documents is, of course, what we are going to see is related to the Google Cloud NoSQL database. Key value, Oracle has a key value NoSQL database. So, as far as Google Cloud NoSQL database is concerned, it is called as Firebase. There are two versions. The latest version is the Cloud Firestore. The initial version is though it is called Firebase, it's generally known as real-time database, and it was released in around this time, 2012, 2013. And whereas the Cloud Firestore is a more of a recent version. And yeah, I would say it's a kind of, there was some kind of challenges with the real-time database. That is where, Cloud Firestore, a better version, has been released, calling it as a Cloud Firestore instead of maybe releasing it as a different version. They gave a different name altogether. That's what I feel could be the reason. And it is definitely has much more richer features, easier to understand. Even the look and feel, once you log into the Cloud Firestore, the look and feel is much more easier to understand. And again, critical one to note here is this diagram. As we said, the Firestore or Firebase, it's called document database because you have a collection. You think about a file cabinet. In a file cabinet, you will always have related documents. If a company has order files, it's a collection of all the orders. So it is referred as the collection here. Under the collection, you will have a particular document. Maybe you have a particular order document from a company XYZ, and it will have all the details related to XYZ, and that is called as the data related to that document. So I hope it is clear. The first one is the complete envelope. It's called as the collection, and then you have the separate individual document, and in that individual document you will have datas. So you might have all the details related to what is that order is all about. So you'll have different data items or data points in that particular document. So that is how the Cloud Firestore is architecture. So this image could give you much more details, like you have a customer collection and the order collection. And the customer collection, you have a document ID 1 and you have a document ID 2, and these are the related data to it, like name, address, order, or all the data. And similarly, order collection, you have order ID, cost, item, these are all data. So that is as far as the document database of NoSQL in Google, which is called Firebase. They had the initial release as a real-time database, and the newer release is called the Cloud Firestore. So we look at that, both of them, how they are used. But just for the understanding perspective, I'm making this presentation. So Cloud Firestore, see, this is one more point. Most of these SQL databases like MongoDB, you can always download and install in a local machine. But Cloud Firestore is cloud hosted, so you'll not be able to download, install in your machine. So you need to use that in the cloud only. So that is why it is called as cloud hosted NoSQL database. And yeah, it's a kind of a repetition here. These documents are stored in collection, which are container for document that you can use to organize your data and build queries. This is what we discussed. And document supports many different types, data types like strings, numbers, complex nested objects. So I think this will provide you a bit of an information, but as we progress, we'll go into the Google Cloud itself, and then you will start understanding better as when compared to the normal RDBMS SQL based database, how it is different in the NoSQL database. Thank you. Stay tuned. Related to what we'll be seeing. So I'm just opening the Firestore, and if you see here, this is collection, just created restaurant, and under the collections, you remember my previous presentation, the collection is a kind of an envelope. Under that you have documents IDs, and under document IDs you have different data. This is for document ID 2. I have it over here, something related to a restaurant, restaurant name, address, additional facilities, which or non-which, type of it. So here address. See, that is one more interesting point to note here is the data you can choose. Whereas if you look at the data over here, I had added additional facility. So here that data field is not there. This kind of an additional, if you compare with the RDBMS database, a table, let's assume you want to have a restaurant as a table, then you might have, yes, restaurant name, address, and the type of food they offer. Additionally, you might need to have one more column as the additional facility as we have here. So that will be common across all the rows, all the specific rows. You cannot have that data field just for one record alone in the RDBMS. So that is the advantage over here. So this is going to be specific for one document. You can add number of fields, additional field if you want. You can add additional fields also if you want. Say for example, I say parking here, only just for this record only. I can say parking available. I don't want to have that so only for the document 2, I have a parking. Whereas in this one, I don't want to have something related to parking or additional facilities. So those are the differences when you compare with the RDBMS. RDBMS is fixed. If a table has fixed number of columns, say for example there are 5 columns, in the 5 columns all the records will have 5 columns, whether if you make it nullable, then you don't need to enter the data into that, but still you will have 5 columns for all the records available in RDBMS. So in case of this one, it is not so, and it is far more easier. Like suppose if I want to add another collection, I say say users, as it is already there, users, okay, and I'll say document ID, and I say user name, string field, I can give my own name and add a field. Now I'll say address, string, I'll just say India, and save it. So you have, apart from the restaurant 1 collection, we have created an additional collection. You can add additional documents also, and additional fields also is possible to add. And again, if I say I just want to have nationality now added, I can do that as well. A field. So you could do that in the data field of that document, the first document data field I have added. You can keep adding the number of documents. So this is how the NoSQL works as far as the Firestore. And again, it is the Firestore, as I said in the earlier presentation, it's a kind of an improved one on the Firebase. In the Firebase, it is called as the real-time database. So we'll see that quickly in the next presentation as how the look and feel of the Firebase NoSQL database, and then post that we'll then go into, yeah, it's all fine because it is intuitive. When you enter the data directly into a form, the cloud-based form, you're entering the details. But in a real application, it will not happen. You need to, from somewhere, from your client system, through Java coding or through your Python coding, you'll be getting the data and then populating into the NoSQL database. Same happens with the RDBMS also. You'll be having a front-end application. From the front-end application, you'll be transferring the data into the RDBMS. So similarly, as we progress, we'll see that in the later presentation, how to work through an approach so that the data gets automatically stored in the NoSQL database through a kind of Python programming or through web programming. We'll see that as we progress. So stay tuned. Thank you. In the last presentation, we saw about the Firestore NoSQL database provided by the Google Cloud Platform. So as I said in the earlier presentation, Google introduced the NoSQL through Firebase and they called it as a real-time database. And then subsequently with additional new features, with a better product, they came out with Cloud Firestore. As a matter of fact, if you're having access to the recent version of the cloud, Google Cloud, in the menus, they have not even, there is no listing as Firebase. It is just listed as the Firestore. Listed as the Firestore. It's not listed as a Firebase. Yeah, Firestore, this is Firestore. Yeah, the Firestore. And again, Google also suggests that if you are new to NoSQL, then they suggest going in for the Firestore. Unless if you are using a older version, then yes, you can access the Firebase. So interestingly, if you want to get into the Firebase, and again, I thought I just want to touch base upon the Firebase, the earlier version, just to show as a part of this course how it looks like. So to get into the Firebase one, once you have the access to the cloud platform, the Google Cloud platform, the URL you need to use is the console firebase.google.com. So once you do that, you can either add a project. Once I have added the project, and that is what is named here, the Firebase. So once I click on that and get to the database, of course, here they have, in case if you already have a Cloud Firestore that is listed, this will be the same one as this one over here. And the other one is the real-time database. If I click on view, yeah. Yes, from the look and feel itself, this is much more easier to understand. As I had discussed earlier, you have the collections, which is a kind of an envelope, and then you have the various documents in the second stage, and each document will have its own data field. That is how it is classified. But here, in case of Firebase, yeah, it's almost same, but little, I mean, the look and feel could be a little bit sketchy. So if you want to add, you can add a child to it. Say name, I say, let me say name as one, just for reference. So Smith 1, again, that is an additional record which is entered here. Smith Raj. So, or you can say an additional one as name itself, and the name field as whatever, Daniel. So you can, to that document, this is the name is the collection, and to that document you can add the fields to it. So this is just for reference, and as I said, we are directly entering the details into the database. We have entered the details into the Firestore NoSQL database, and here it is Firebase NoSQL database. But generally, the front end could be different. The details could come from an IoT device, Internet of Things device, because the data flowing from the sensors could be so huge, or from a Twitter account, maybe your shell scripting or the Python scripting, or through the big data Hadoop, you could get the streaming data. You can, then you can from that tool, from the scripting tool, then you populate into the database, that is the NoSQL database. So instead of entering directly into the NoSQL database through an entry, we need to look at the ways like in this course, I'll demonstrate using the Python scripting, what needs to be done and how the data can be added into the NoSQL database. So in the subsequent presentation, I'll be talking about using scripts like Python and how to use them to populate the NoSQL database. So stay tuned. Thank you.